One morning, as the sun completed its orbit around the galaxy, history was about to be made with the first basketball game between humans and aliens. The match, organized by the Galactic Federation, aimed to bring together species from across the galaxy in a peaceful assembly. The game was set to take place in the Andromeda constellation, on a sports arena known as the Skyfield Arena. This arena was built using the most advanced technologies in the galaxy, featuring a playing field where gravity fluctuated continuously and at different levels. The floor was filled with areas where gravity would suddenly lighten or intensify, significantly affecting the players' mobility. Invisible holographic obstacles dotted the arena. These obstacles would suddenly appear in front of the players, forcing them to adapt their strategies on the fly. Each hologram was designed as a transparent but extremely dense energy field randomly placed on the court. When players collided with these obstacles, they would experience a brief shockwave that disrupted their balance, making ball control more challenging. Additionally, the arena's ceiling and walls were covered in rapidly changing light bursts and optical illusions that tested the players' reflexes. These advanced challenges made the Skyfield Arena a true galactic battleground, pushing the limits of both physical and mental endurance. For human players, this was a daunting challenge as gravity in this environment worked completely differently from Earth's. The ball could float in the air one moment and crash to the ground or change direction suddenly the next. This would be the greatest test of Jack Carter's life. Jack Carter, selected as humanity's representative and one of Earth's best basketball players, was a legend in the sports world. Standing at 1.85 meters tall, he was a quick-thinking, agile player. However, this match required much more than physical prowess. Strategy, adaptability, and determination were key. As Jack stood in the center of the Skyfield Arena, his eyes scanned the colossal figure across from him. Zyron, known as the most skilled player of the Alien Federation, was a towering 7-foot alien with a flexible body, additional joints in his arms, and telekinetic abilities that allowed him to control the ball with ease. Zyron's eyes were fixed on Jack, displaying a mix of superiority and curiosity. The match was about to begin, and the entire galaxy was on edge, preparing to watch this showdown. Among the spectators were not only humans but also various alien species from different galaxies. The atmosphere in the stands was a blend of excitement and tension, with the sounds of different species creating a sea of noise around the arena. As Jack stepped onto the court, he immediately felt the fluctuations in gravity and focused all his attention on maintaining his balance in this unusual environment. With his first step, the gravity suddenly lightened, causing his feet to lift off the ground briefly, leaving him momentarily suspended in mid-air. Quickly recovering, he bent his knees and adjusted his body weight downward, achieving a more stable stance. Then, with the next step, gravity suddenly intensified, adding extra weight to his legs. To counter this abrupt change, Jack firmly planted his feet on the ground, leaned his body slightly forward, and spread his arms to adjust his center of gravity. With each step, he carefully analyzed the cues from the floor and surroundings, responding to the gravity fluctuations with deliberate precision. By continuously adjusting his body's center of gravity, he managed to move smoothly across the court. This was a combination of his mental flexibility and physical reflexes. He intuitively anticipated each change and adapted his body accordingly. Thus, Jack moved across the court as if dancing with gravity. Performing the shots he had mastered on Earth was much more challenging here, but giving up was not in his nature. He had trained for years, and this was the moment when all that effort would come to fruition. Zyron, on the other hand, was completely accustomed to the challenges of this environment. On his home planet, Zentaris, gravity was almost non-existent, which allowed Zyron's body to adapt seamlessly to the sensation of weightlessness and floating. However, what truly made him formidable was his telekinetic ability. With the power to move objects with his mind, Zyron could control the ball in the air without using his hands, directing it with mental focus. He was adept at adjusting the ball's speed, direction, and height instantly, intercepting his opponent's moves before they even happened. Zyron manipulated the ball as if it were held by an invisible hand, guiding it effortlessly across the court. This skill provided him with a nearly unbeatable advantage, even in the fluctuating gravity conditions of the arena. While Jack might not have been as powerful as his opponent, his greatest weapon was the stubborn determination inherited from human history. The referee blew the whistle, and the ball soared into the air. Jack concentrated all his attention, braced himself against the gravity fluctuations, and leaped upward swiftly. As Zyron's long arms reached for the ball, Jack, attempting to replicate the sensation of Earth's gravity, struck the ball with all his strength. The game had begun, and both players were preparing to showcase all their skills. This was not just a basketball match, it would prove that humanity would never give up, even in space. As the spectators held their breath, the encounter between Jack Carter and Zyron was about to become an unforgettable moment for millions across the galaxy. By the end of the first quarter, there was a balance on the court that demonstrated the talent and determination of both players. But this was only the beginning, the real struggle was just starting. At the end of the first quarter, the score was closer than expected. Jack was putting up an immense fight on the court. Zyron's telekinetic abilities and long arms gave him a significant advantage in controlling and defending the ball. However, Jack's agility, quick thinking, and strategic intelligence were the factors keeping him in the game. Despite being physically disadvantaged, Jack was not backing down. Zyron had initially thought this match would be easy. He was familiar with the limited physical abilities and lower technological levels of humans. However, Jack's determination and unexpected moves were starting to surprise him. Particularly, Jack's ability to quickly adapt to the gravity changes and control the ball at the right moments presented Zyron with resistance he was not accustomed to. Jack knew that winning this game was about more than just skill, it was also about intelligence. He realized he needed to turn Zyron's strengths against him without allowing Zyron to use his full power. Before the next quarter began, Jack took a short break and formulated a plan in his mind. When the match resumed, Jack started using his speed and agility to challenge Zyron with surprising tactics. Zyron would usually control the ball telekinetically and try to manage Jack's movements from a distance. However, Jack devised a clever tactic to disrupt Zyron's telekinetic control. By striking the ball forcefully and quickly against the ground, the hard surface caused the ball to bounce back abruptly. Jack began making short, sharp maneuvers, using the ball's sudden changes in direction due to gravity fluctuations to make it increasingly difficult for Zyron to maintain telekinetic control. By keeping his body low and making rapid directional changes, Jack ensured that the ball remained in constant motion on the court. This chaotic movement of the ball disrupted Zyron's mental focus and weakened his telekinetic grip, giving Jack more control over the ball. Meanwhile, Zyron was disturbed by Jack's unexpected maneuvers. He had never anticipated that humans could develop such a strategy. Until that moment, Zyron had thought he held all the advantages and had not felt the need to push his limits. However, now he was genuinely struggling against the human player. The score began to tilt increasingly in favor of the humans. Jack, seizing every opportunity, directed the game with quick, precise passes and managed to score. The court had become a mental and physical battleground where both players were pushing their limits. Although Jack's body was starting to tire, his mind remained sharp. He knew that victory was not only about physical strength but also about mental power. As the third quarter neared its end, Jack's strategy started to bear fruit. By directing the ball from unexpected angles and at different speeds, he managed to make it increasingly difficult for Zyron to control the ball, creating numerous opportunities for himself. Jack took advantage of these opportunities and managed to keep the score balanced. However, Zyron was planning to turn the game around by combining his intelligence and strength. In the next quarter, he intended to use his telekinetic powers in even more complex ways to neutralize Jack's strategy. He realized that winning this match involved not only physical skills but also mental tactics. Zyron planned to use the constantly changing gravity points on the court to wear Jack down. The pace of the game was rising steadily. The spectators, seated in the stands, watched with excitement. Different species from various galaxies were spellbound by this extraordinary encounter. Everyone was eager to see the outcome of this battle between human and alien. Before the final quarter, Jack took a short break to catch his breath. He was drenched in sweat, his muscles were burning, but his mind was still clear. He was trying to anticipate Zyron's next move. He knew this was more than just a sports competition, it was an opportunity to prove humanity's place and strength in the galaxy. With this awareness, he stepped back onto the court, thinking that victory was his for the taking. As tension and determination filled the court, the final quarter was about to begin, destined to be recorded in the annals of galactic history. Jack and Zyron were ready to showcase not just their skills, but also their strategic intelligence. The outcome of the match was still uncertain, but one thing was clear: this game would echo throughout the galaxy. As the final quarter started, the atmosphere on the court was intensely charged. The sounds from the stands were filled with excitement. Spectators from different galaxies were captivated by the struggle exhibited by both human player Jack Carter and alien opponent Zyron. Everyone was eager to see how this unforgettable match would conclude. Jack Carter returned to the court, gathering all his energy and focus. His body was practically rebelling from exhaustion, but his mind remained sharp. Jack knew that this match was not just a physical contest, but also a psychological battle. Against Zyron's telekinetic abilities and physical superiority, Jack's greatest weapon was his intelligence and determination. Zyron was ready to regain control of the game in the final quarter. He planned to use his telekinetic powers in a more complex manner to disrupt Jack's strategy. Zyron began controlling the ball with an invisible energy field, making it nearly impossible for Jack to get possession. However, Jack had anticipated Zyron's move. With the lessons learned in previous quarters, he now understood how Zyron's abilities worked. As the game resumed, Zyron took control of the ball and moved on the attack. With his telekinetic powers making the ball nearly invisible, Zyron maneuvered rapidly around Jack. But Jack, maintaining his composure, carefully observed the gravitational fluctuations on the court and Zyron's movements. Predicting the ball's location, he sprang into action with sudden speed. An opportunity arose. As Zyron moved the ball toward the basket using his telekinetic powers, Jack's keen eyes spotted the chance. As Zyron directed the ball toward the basket, the gravity suddenly shifted, causing the ball's trajectory to change rapidly. This sudden change in gravity momentarily slowed the ball as it approached the basket. Seeing the ball slow down due to the gravity shift, Jack quickly crouched, aligning his body with the points where the gravity was most effective on the ball. His muscles were tensed, but his eyes remained focused on the ball. With a high leap, Jack launched himself toward the ball. Calculating the ball's angle to the basket, he positioned his hands in the optimal spot while in the air. Utilizing his body with maximum efficiency, he caught the ball from an almost impossible angle. The spectators rose in astonishment. No one had expected Jack to make such a move. As Jack held the ball, he was devising a plan in his mind. Jack knew this moment was critical. If he missed this opportunity, the outcome of the match could turn in Zyron's favor. Taking into account all the obstacles and gravity changes on the court, he advanced rapidly toward the basket. Although Zyron tried to keep up with Jack's speed, he lagged slightly behind due to Jack's sudden burst. As Jack approached the basket, he threw the ball with all his focus. Despite the gravity fluctuations slightly altering the ball's direction, Jack used all his skill to ensure the ball reached the right spot. As the ball soared through the air, time seemed to slow down. All eyes were on the ball's trajectory. The ball seemed as if it might miss the basket for a moment. However, Jack's calculations proved correct. The ball passed through the basket, and a silence echoed across the court. The crowd in the stands watched this moment with bated breath. Finally, the ball went through the basket. Jack had turned the score in favor of humanity with this incredible shot. Zyron was astonished by Jack's success. Despite his telekinetic powers and superior physical abilities, the outcome of the match was determined by Jack's intelligence and strategic thinking. Zyron realized that he could no longer control the game after this final move. When the final buzzer sounded, the crowd filling the Sky Arena erupted in applause. Humanity had declared its victory on this galactic stage. Jack, drenched in sweat on the court, was savoring the taste of victory. This was not just a basketball game, it was a battle proving humanity's place in the galaxy. I hope you had a good time. If you liked my story, do not forget to comment and subscribe to my channel. Goodbye. See you in the next story.